Hi everyone, Stjepan here. After more than a week again, I came back from a tournament I was playing last week. I actually came back 3 days ago, but didn't feel like doing anything because of my performance. I'm going to get to those games from Rabac. I'm just going to say that it wasn't a good tournament. I felt devastated during and after it. And I've decided to have a long training period again. So what I've noticed is I played Zagreb well, which was the first out of the 3 tournaments. And then Zadar and Rabac I played badly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be playing 1 tournament every 30 days or once a month. No more, no less. A few in a row turned out to be a bad idea. So yeah, that's my plan. And before I play the first one, it's going to be at least 30 or 60 days, something like that, during which I need to get back to physical training every day and chest training and stuff like that. But anyway, I'm going to continue with the games from Zagreb Open first. Today I'm going to go over my round 7 game against the FIDE Master. So in round 6, I've defeated the 2100. So I knew I was going to get paired against somebody strong. When I saw the pairings, I wasn't happy because Mr. Dinev is very strong and he plays a bunch of systems which easily transpose, are very flexible. He can play them in a ton of different move orders. During the evening, when the pairings got out, I had a look at about 100 of his games to get an idea about what he plays, and came up with a conclusion that I need to play something that's flexible as well. I need to be able to adjust my plans if I want to stay in the game. So I've decided for the Queen's Indian, which I have almost no experience with. Played it once during this tournament against Matic, 2100, and it went well. I almost won, ended up drawing. So I had some idea of how to play it, and I'm pretty confident playing with the bishop on b7 and the bishop on e7. So okay, he played d4, I played knight f6, he played knight f3, and now lately I mostly play c5 in this position, trying to get into the Benoni. But yeah, as I said here, I played b6, g3, bishop b7, bishop g2, e6, the Queen's Indian, castles, and now c5, the most aggressive move. Now in this position, there's a line which I've been preparing, not only for this game, even before that, which I think is fine for black, should be equal, and it continues with c4 for white. I think that's the best move. C takes d4, queen takes d4 is best, and now knight c6. I could also go d5, but knight c6 is what I chosen to play. Queen f4 is the main move here, and now knight e7. And this is the line I've expected, which I like my bishop better than his if they get traded. I like my weaknesses on light squares on the queen side better than his on the king side. And my e7 knight is coming to g6. My position is solid. I am going to be playing d5 later, rook c8, bishop e7. No real trouble. But after c5, he continued with c3, which slightly confused me. That's a very passive move. It doesn't really do anything to challenge my center, so now gives me time to go bishop e7, and after knight b to d2, I can castle or I can play d5. Whether I'm going to play d5 depends on whether I might still keep my pawn on d6 or play d6, because in the Queen's Indian you can sort of do both. I've decided to play d5, take space immediately, and this is the exact setup I played against Željko Matic a few rounds earlier, so this is what I knew best. And here he went e3, which also going for a sort of London system with the bishop inside the pawn chain, or this is sort of a semi-Slav fianchetto for white, which also is a weird setup. I didn't understand e3. I thought he should just go knight e5 immediately and put some pressure on my position, castles, maybe f4, maybe f4, knight f3. That's actually what I expected. Knight d7, knight f3, and should be equal here. But as I said, after d5 he went e3, I went knight b to d7, and now he went knight e5, but now it's not as strong because I already have a knight on d7. And I thought black should be equal or slightly better here. And here I started seeing ghosts. Now, here's my original calculation. or here are my original thoughts. I don't have to react to knight e5, which is true because I've analyzed a ton of games in the Queen's Indian preparing the opening, and whenever white plays knight e5, you can do nothing because it's not like he's threatening to take on d7, c6 is covered, you can just castle, go rook c8, continue developing, and all that stuff. So those were my first thoughts. I don't have to react. I can just castle. Okay, so that was reassuring and comforting. So I thought, okay, I castle, and then I saw f4, which I guess is the most aggressive move, and he wants to play aggressively. And then I thought I could just go queen c7, and I should be fine. But then I started hating the idea of him playing f4 unopposed. And then I thought, well, maybe I have to do something. Then I thought, okay, well, I can take, he's going to take, I can go knight e4. And then this is the mistake. In my blindness, I expected knight takes e4, d takes e4, and now queen a4 check. And after queen a4 check, for some reason I thought I was going to be losing the pawn, which is not true, because after queen d7 and let's say queen c2, I have queen c6. And I don't know, this is fine for me. I'm going to, let's say he goes c4, which I think is a good idea to stop my expansion and to stop bishop c5 later. I could just castle queenside, and I would rather be black here. I have the d3 square, I can play f5, get my bishop to f6. I don't know. I like this position. But then after knight e4, another thing, knight takes e4, pawn takes e4, he could go queen g4, which I didn't really know how to react to. And this is where my calculation stopped. Okay, so after knight e5, knight takes e5, I thought that after pawn takes, I can't go knight e4. And then I thought, well, I have to go knight d7. And after knight d7, he's going to play f4, and I'm going to play queen c7, which was all fine. And then for some reason, this move was still on the board. I decided to take the knight, even though I knew knight e4 is a bad idea, and knight d7 is equal or nothing, and he gets to play f4 anyway. So a problem in my mind, I don't know what happened, is that I neglected the first thought I had, that I can just ignore this, and f4 is not such a big issue. I should have just castled, and after f4 go queen c7. But as I said, I took pawn takes, knight d7, f4, queen c7, and this is the issue. This is why this is a problem. I need to defend my bishop, that's why queen c7. Because otherwise I can never go d4. And he goes e4 here, and I'm in trouble. So what can I do here? I have three options. I can ignore it, push the pawn, or take on e4. So I've ignored it in the game. I castled, which I thought was the most useful move. Let's just go over the two other options quickly. If I go d4, c takes, knight b3, something like bishop a6 and rook f2 and maybe d3 should be fine for me, which I saw this position when calculating, and I thought what I did was better, and again, because I missed something along the way. So okay, the other option of d takes e4 I didn't really like because of knight d6. So yeah, knight takes, castles, let's say bishop e3. I would play c4 to try to get a piece into c5. And yeah, now his knight is very good. I think white is slightly better here, and I didn't want to do that. And after e4, after castling, of course he's going to take on d5, and I expected to get either hanging pawns or an isolated queen's pawn. So okay, bishop takes, e takes, and here's what I missed. I missed queen f3. And after queen f3, I think white just has an annoying advantage here because I have to get an isolated pawn already on d4. And yeah, okay, so the most obvious defense, which I would like to play, queen c6, fails to c4, and now I just lose a pawn. I don't have anything in this position. So after queen f3, I basically, if I want to save the pawn, I need to push d4. And I'm, well, I wouldn't say I'm worse, but it's easier to play for white. Okay, knight b3. Here I played a tricky move, rook a to d8, firstly getting my rook away from the glare of his queen. Secondly, if he takes knight d4, I have knight e5. Attacking the knight, attacking the queen. If he tries something like queen to I'm sorry, queen to e4, then I have bishop c5. And he doesn't have time to take here because check. And if he plays bishop, let's say bishop here, I can go, I don't know, I guess I can just go knight c4. And if he moves the bishop away, I have this check, this fork. So yeah, anyway, after rook a to d8, he can't take. He plays rook to d1, which is the best move. And now I played bishop c5. And again, he can't really do much. He can't take the pawn. The same thing applies. If he takes now, I once again go knight e5. The knight is double attacked, and he is in trouble. So after bishop c5, he went bishop d2, which is a natural move. And now I think I played the best move. I was really happy about this, and it took me a while to find. I played a5, trying to dislodge the knight. And he went knight c1, which I understand coming into d3. And this is the mistake of the game. So in this position, I have to be either equal or slightly, very, very slightly worse. So I have this annoying pawn on d4, which I'm not really threatening to push yet because he has knight d3. However, if I manage to lift the blockade on d3, then that pawn becomes very dangerous. In order to lift the blockade, I either have to get my knight into b4 or into c5. That's clear. So what I wanted to do was firstly try and trade the queens off if possible, which might be counterintuitive, but I thought it was going to be easier to play, even though in hindsight trading the queens off is the worst idea in this position, because firstly his king is less safe than mine, secondly I have an isolated pawn, so trading pieces would just make it easier for him to win the pawn. But trading queens off was another plus of my plan. So my plan was, I'm going to go knight b8, queen c6. When he moves the queen, I go knight a6, knight b4, and I should be fine. And that plan just fails. It fails because it takes too long. So the other plan, which when the game finished, I was in the tram going home. I was looking at the score sheet, imagining this position and trying to find something better. And it came to me immediately, and I just found a move that's much, much better, makes way more sense, uses the fact that his knight is now on c1 and not on b3. What was the knight on b3 doing? Firstly, the c1 square was unoccupied. Secondly, my d6 pawn, d4 pawn was attacked. So previous to that, I can't have moved my bishop away because my pawn would fall. But in this position, I have to move bishop e7. And this is an incredibly powerful move. Firstly, my bishop is slightly better on e7 than on c5. Secondly, I free up the c5 square. So in case of knight d3, I go knight c5, and I have no issues in this position. If he goes rook c1, fine. I mean, I can just move my queen away and probably go queen b8 or something, or queen d7 even. Should be better. And in this position, I think black is just better. My pawn is defended twice. I'm going to lift the blockade. I'm going to get my other rook into play. I may even have some tricks with queen g4, queen h3, stuff like that, queen d5. And this would have been just much better. But after, yeah, I played the stupid knight b8, which is a losing move from what I've concluded in my analysis, which I've analyzed this game at least 5 times. Okay, so knight d3, of course, now I'm too slow. And now I see that I'm too slow and that I have to defend, so I go rook d7. He goes rook ac1, and now all of a sudden everything is hanging. He's threatening bishop a5, he's threatening knight c5, so I have to move my queen away. I go queen a7. Because if bishop a5, I need to be able to take. Let's just, if I go something weak, like rook f to d8, he can just go bishop a5. ba5, and now knight c5, and I can resign. So queen a7. The problem is that queen a7 just allows him to get a better position. Now, what's the idea of the queen on c7? It also attacks the e5 pawn. So now when the knight is on d3, when the queen is gone from c7, the e5 pawn is firstly defended, secondly is not attacked, so f5 is easy to play. And now I'm just busted. This is a busted position. He has f6, he has e6, and my position is crumbling. So I go rook e8, try to stop his attack, rook e1, knight a6, queen to g4 attacking, bishop f8, I have to try and defend, f6 is coming, knight f4, another piece into play, knight b4. Now, maybe, okay, well, certainly knight c5 was a better move, because it at least takes control of the d3 square and stops any c-file infiltration, which is about to be very important. I don't know exactly why I played knight b4. That seems a much worse move in every possible respect. I think the reason is I wanted to go knight d5 and get rid of his knight. Here he simply goes f6, I need to go g6, and here he goes e6, and this is all over. If I take f takes e6, then of course knight takes g, h takes g, queen g6 check, I need to go king h1, and at least queen e8, that's the least he has. So after e6, try to find the defense. If you can't take, and you can't really, you have to move your rook. So after about 20 minutes, I found rook d6, which I think is the trickiest move. The problem with rook e6 that after e7, I can't really move my bishop away. And if I don't move my bishop away, I lose my bishop. So this is over. So I go bishop h6, hoping he wouldn't find the best move, but he finds it in a second, and I resign. Rook c8. No defense to this. A beautiful finish by my opponent, and I just gave up. So I had 3 moments of weakness in this game. The first one was after knight e5. Okay, after knight e5, that was just bad. I should have castled. The second one was after e4, where I didn't consider d4 to be the best move, because it is the best move. And I also get an isolated queen's pawn, but he has doubled pawns. So I had the same weakness without his weakness. This would be just much easier to play. That's the second mistake I've made. And then the third mistake I've made is the worst one after his knight c1. So my good move a5 and his knight c1 retreat. What I should have done is bishop e7, and after knight d3, knight c5. Instead of that, I went knight b8, which is horrible. So 3 mistakes were enough to lose this game, which is not surprising against the FIDE master. And yeah, I think I have a lot to learn from it. I think I did learn a lot from it. And this is one of the most useful analysis I've had of my own games. And I've actually been through this game with several people and by myself, so very helpful. And yeah, a strategic mistake to lose this game if we are talking about knight b8. So yeah, strategy is something I have to work on. Okay, I have an announcement to make. My first stream is going to be on Twitch, and it's going to be on February 1st. 99% at 7 p.m. Croatian time, so I think that's Central European time. So 7 p.m. Croatian on February 1st is going to be my first stream. I'm sort of getting the things together. I got a new internet connection, which should be here in about 2 weeks, because our internet provider takes a long time to install stuff. And then Lucia has a new laptop which I can use to stream. It's going to be much easier than on mine. Okay, so February 1st at 7, it's going to be my first stream. I still don't know what I'm going to do during that. I'll probably play you guys for 5 hours or something. We will see. Okay, thanks. Sorry again for not recording while at the tournament. As I said, now I'm going to take a long break from playing because I need to train and work on my mistakes. So yeah, see you tomorrow with a new video. Stay tuned for more chess. Bye-bye.